Good Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversation Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Of course, you have your news headlines coming up on this Tuesday, with a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. And in today's Entertainment Spotlight, you've been part of my conversation with singing superstar Jennifer Holliday. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Tuesday headlines. In national news, Biden's celebration of new gun law clouded by latest shooting. President Joe Biden welcomed a crowd to the White House lawn on Monday to showcase a new law meant to reduce gun violence, celebrating real progress after years of inaction. But he also lamented the country remains awash in weapons of war, with the 16-day-old law already overshadowed by yet another horrific mass shooting. The bill passed after recent gun rampages in Buffalo, New York, and Uvalde, Texas, incrementally toughens requirements for young people buying guns, denies firearms to more domestic abusers, and helps local authorities temporarily take weapons from people judged to be dangerous. But the celebration Monday morning came a week after a gunman in Highland Park, Illinois, killed 7 people at an Independence Day parade, a stark reminder of the limitations of the new law in addressing the American phenomena of mass gun violence. And it comes as Democratic governors have taken up the mantle of offering outrage in the face of gun violence. Biden hosted hundreds of guests on the South Lawn, including a bipartisan group of lawmakers who crafted and supported the legislation, state and local officials, and the families of victims of both mass shootings and everyday gun violence. He also said Congress should pass legislation to hold gun owners legally accountable if their weapons are improperly stored and are used to commit violence. He noted that he owns 4 shotguns and said he keeps them secured at his home. "We can't just stand by," Biden said. "With rights comes responsibilities. If you own a weapon, you have a responsibility to secure it and keep it under lock and key." In more national news, new coronavirus mutants raises concern. The quickly changing coronavirus has spawned yet another super contagious Omicron mutant that's worrying scientists as it gains ground in India and pops up in numerous other countries, including the U.S. Scientists say the variant, called BA.275, may be able to spread rapidly and get around immunity from vaccines and previous infection. It's unclear whether it could cause more serious disease than other Omicron variants, including the globally prominent BA.5. "It's still really early on for us to draw too many conclusions," said the director of clinical virology at the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. "But it does look like, especially in India, the rates of transmission are showing kind of that exponential increase. Whether it will outcompete BA.5, he said, is yet to be determined. Still, the fact that it has already been detected in many parts of the world, even with lower levels of viral surveillance, is an early indication it is spreading," said the head of infectious disease for Helix, a company that supplies viral sequencing information to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The latest mutant has been spotted in several distant states in India and appears to be spreading faster than other variants there. Fielding experts' concern are a large number of mutations separating this new variant from Omicron predecessors. Some of those mutations are in areas that relate to the spike protein and could allow the virus to bind onto cells more efficiently. In international news, UN to monitor Ukraine war for violations against children. The United Nations announced on Monday it will start monitoring the war in Ukraine and conflicts in Ethiopia, Mozambique, and Africa's central region for violations against children, including killings, injuries, recruitment, rape, and other forms of sexual violence. The Secretary General said in his annual report to the Security Council on Children and Armed Conflict that those 4 new conflicts have been added to 21 conflicts that the UN already is monitoring for violations of the rights of children. He said the latter conflicts saw a high number of grave violations in 2021. The UN chief said the protection of children was severely affected by escalating conflicts, the multiplication of armed groups, landmines and improvised explosive devices, explosive weapons in populated areas, intensified humanitarian crisis, and violations of humanitarian and human rights law. And finally, in business news, stocks slump on Wall Street amid recession and rate worries. Wall Street got back to slumping Monday to kick off a week full of updates about how bad inflation is and how corporate profits are handling it. The S&P 500 fell 1.2% and gave up the majority of its gains from the prior week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped 0.5%, and the Nasdaq Composite dropped 2.3%. Stocks of smaller companies were some of the biggest losers, with the Russell 2000 index down 2.1%, as worries about a possible recession continue to dog the markets. The struggles pulled the Nasdaq down 263 points to close at 11,373. The S&P 500 dropped 45 to 3,854, and the Dow dipped 164 points to 31,174. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. Enjoy. Good Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to Words I Choose to Live By. Your joy should not be dependent on where you live, how much you have, or who you know. True joy comes from the satisfaction that you are living the life you were intended to live, using each and every opportunity to recognize the blessing of seeing another day. Have an amazing Tuesday. Jennifer Holliday is featured in today's Entertainment Spotlight right here on Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with Entertainment Spotlight. Singing superstar Jennifer Holliday told me on Conversations Live, the radio show, 2022 has definitely been a year for the history books for her. Here's a bit of our conversation.
Ms. Holliday, I want to begin by talking about this year because you have had such an amazing career overall, but this year you have not stopped. I mean, you have had so much going on. The new single we mentioned, So in Love, that we were playing here on the radio side of our broadcast. And then, as I said, you were revealed as Miss Teddy on The Masked Singer. What has this year been like for you to already reflect on what you've been able to do?
It has been so exciting. And I don't want to get like spiritual and deep on you, but, you know, the pandemic threw those of us, the whole world, you know, into just kind of like a spinning cycle. But for many of us in the entertainment industry who perform live, we had nowhere to go. You know what I'm saying? We had nothing to do, those of us who do music, and, you know, everything just stopped. And so it really wasn't until last year that things started going. Then there was another round of the virus. And so everything got postponed again. People, you know, postpone our concerts or reschedule them or push them all the way off to 2023 because of Omicron. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen, you know? And then sometimes you just have to take a deep breath and you have to realize that life is what it is. It's each day at a time, one day at a time. And I don't know, Cyrus, I can't even begin to tell you that I just relaxed and just said, you know, I have to have faith that I have a future. I don't know when it's going to happen. I have to keep my talent together. I always, you know, I still keep my voice together and practice and everything, just so I always be ready. I always tell young people, just be ready, because you never know when that opportunity is going to come.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning into this edition of Conversation Daily News, but we have to get on tomorrow for more news, message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversation Daily News today, and let's go make it amazing.